Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. I am so much excited to be here. So much excited, and I'm happy to be talking about this particular topic today. I hope you're also excited to be here, and I hope that from these past weeks you've been learning one or two things on this growth, on this good success series. On this good success series, today I am bringing you another interesting topic, which is on habits of successful people. Habits of successful people. Success is not all about achieving goals. Success is not just completing tasks. Success is achieved, or successful people are bettered following certain habits, or they are made through habits. So the question I want to ask you is, what are your habits? What are your habits? What are your habits? It's all about small changes. You see, one thing about habits is that habits are all about small changes that produce big results. Small changes producing big results. I'm going to be talking about so many things today, but before I get into the details, I want to once again invite you to the forthcoming conference. I want to invite you to Conference. Growth Conference. Growth Conference is happening again. The theme of Growth Conference is understanding the cost of success. Understanding the cost of success. Understanding the cost of success. And sincerely, you really don't want to miss it. You really don't want to miss it. Right. And I will be talking about personal leadership, the cost we've identified. We've identified about 7 costs of success. And you see, these are not just the conventional costs that you know, right? So these are not the conventional costs that you know, but we've identified them, and we believe so strongly that if you are able to, all right, so we believe if you are able to achieve success in this area, you are going to get holistic success. And we've identified 7 areas. We have personal leadership, we have business and entrepreneurship, we have career, we have finance, we have health, faith, technology and AI, and also in relationship. And just like I said last week, that we have speakers already available. And I'm happy to announce to you those that will be speaking specifically on these topics. We have Mr. Shijuade Adeyeye, we have Peace Adeyemi, we have Omotola Olajide, we have Abayomi, we have Ejiro Sunday, we have Pastor Akinwumi, we have Mrs. Ejiro, Mrs. Winner, right? We have Mrs. Winner, and I'm so much excited about these speakers because you are going to be learning a lot. All you just have to do is to register for this conference. Register for this conference. I mean, this conference is something you don't want to miss. It's happening live, online air, happening on the 5th to the 11th of August. It's going to be a 7-day program, and you sincerely don't want to miss it. Again, 5th to 11th of August, 6 p.m. daily, WAT. All right, West African time, 6 p.m. daily. And I'm so much excited about this, right? And as well, we have sponsors for the program already. We have Idea Incubation Hub, we have Vicent Hub, we have Elegant Graphics, right? And you can as well sponsor this event. You can just reach out to us via the number that will be displayed on the comment box. Right. Again, I'm so much excited about this. I hope you are also excited. Right. Without any further ado, let me start with today's lesson. I believe today we are going to talk extensively about a lot of things. I believe so strongly that you are going to learn from what I will be talking about today. right? You have a lot to learn from what I will be talking about today. And I mean, I wish it's going to be interactive, right? I wish when I'm talking, you can drop in your comments. When I'm asking any question, you can put in your comments so that we can enjoy this conversation together. Again, I want to talk to you about habits of successful people. What are the habits of successful people? What are the small changes that people that are successful do that produces results? What produces big results are not necessarily big things. What produces big results are small things done consistently over time. Small things done consistently over time. So today I'll be talking about the science of habit formation. I'll be talking about productive habits. I'll be talking about effective habit building techniques that can transform your personal and professional life. And also, you see, you will unlock your full potential through small sustainable changes. So you will be unlocking your full potential through small sustainable changes. Now, let's go into what we have today. The first thing I want to talk to you about is the science of habit formation. What is the science of habit formation? And I have three things here. Number one, we have the neurological fruits. We have the neurological roots. And what is this talking about? You see, habits are deeply ingrained in the neural pathway of the brain. Habits are embedded in our brain, and they are formed through repetition and reward behavior. Listen to me. You see, for some of us that we have been listening to this for some time, you will know that I love, quoting something about a quote from Denzel Washington. He said, "Without commitment, you can't start a thing. And more importantly, without consistency, you can't finish it. Without commitment, you can't begin a thing. And more importantly, without consistency, you can't finish." So there is a need for repetition when we are talking about habits. There is a need for consistency, and not only consistency, especially when we are talking about the science of habit formation and we are talking about the neurological roots. It's also talking about the reward behavior. There is high tendency for you to keep doing something again and again if there is a reward system. Now, let me recommend a book to every one of us here. I'm recommending two books, especially if you want to start building new habits and you want to break off from old habits. Now, two books. Number one is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the second book is Atomic Habits. I read Atomic Habits recently, and I tell you, the book is so inspiring, it's so powerful, and you need to get a copy. Right? So, neurological root is talking about repetition and the reward system. Number two, we have the habit loop. Now, what do we mean by the habit loop? Habits consist of a cue, a routine, and a reward. Now, these are lessons from Atomic Habits. Habits consist of a cue, a routine, and a reward, creating a self-reinforcing cycle that drives behavior. You see, many of us that we've developed one habit or the other, if you look at it carefully, you will discover that every habit that you have currently is formed through these methods or through this loop. So we have the cue, we have what is suggesting the habits to you, we have what is prompting the habits to you, what you see that will tell you that, oh, it is time for you to do this particular thing. And we have the routine. We have the scheduling of the habit. And lastly, we have the reward. You say one way or the other, whether you know it or not, One reason why you have the habits that you have is because there is a reward behind it. And if you want to build habits consciously, you must develop the reward mechanism. And number three, under the science of habit formation, we have the willpower and habits. Building habits reduces the need for willpower, freeing up mental resources for other tasks. You know, many of us, we really want to do certain things by force, by fire, right? So we are exerting energy. We are trying as much as possible to imbibe a particular culture. Listen to me. If you inculcate these things into habits, you'll find it easier to do. If you work with schools, when you work with routines, you work with reward, it will be easier for you to form habits instead of using willpower. Right? Right. Now, let me talk to you about how do you cultivate productive habits? How do successful people, you are a successful person, how do you cultivate productive habits? Number one, morning routine. Start your day right with the habits like meditation. It is important that the first thing you do in a day determines the progressions, determines the possibilities in your day. So start your day right. If you are with me on this call, I want you to put it on the chat and say, start your day right, or I will start my day right. So it is important you start your day right with habits like meditation. You see, think about what you want to make happen in a particular day. Start your day with exercise. Start your day with journaling. You see, one thing about journaling is this. I talk a lot about journaling, and I find it surprising when people really do not read. I sincerely find it surprising. I mean, when people really do not write. Because when you give yourself to writing, you are releasing, it's like you are talking to yourself again. You are not thinking alone. It's like two people are already involved in the conversation. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So give yourself to journaling to boost productivity and mindset. This is very, very important. Number two, under creating or cultivating productive habits, we have time management. Adopt habits like the Pomodoro technique. Now, what is the Pomodoro technique? The Pomodoro technique is basically instead of giving yourself to multitasking. You see, one of the things I found out in my research, I've known this for a long time now, is that multitasking is not the best way to use your brain. I know some of you will find this as a surprise, right? Because I remember when I was in higher institution, one of the first lessons we learned in GNS was multitasking. All right, your ability to multitask. But science have discovered that multitasking is not the best way to use your brain. Instead, use the Pomodoro technique. What is the Pomodoro technique? Pomodoro technique is focusing on one thing for a particular time interval. So focusing on maybe reading. Focusing on reading for 25 minutes and taking 5 minutes break. Do it consistently for about 3-4 times. You will discover that you are more effective that way than combining 3 or 4 tasks all at the same time. So time management techniques is no longer multitasking. It's now Pomodoro techniques. So you can use task batching. You can use calendar blocking to optimize your time and focus. Now, this is very, very important. Number 3, I talked about this in the last lesson, lifelong learning. Incorporate habits like reading. Listen to me. I said they often say something. They said there's an axiom that says if you want to hide something from an African man, from an African boy, from an African girl, keep it in a book. Hide it in a book because he doesn't read. But I mean, the tides are changing, right? You need to know that knowledge, learning is compulsory. So give yourself to reading. Give yourself to reading. Incorporate habits like reading, taking courses, right? Taking courses, seeking out new experience to continue growth and adaptability. You see, you cannot adapt to changes if you are not learning. Let me say that again, that you cannot adapt to changes effectively without learning. You cannot. You cannot adapt to changing without learning. You can't adapt to new environment without learning. So, and you can learn by reading, you can learn by taking courses, you can learn by seeking new experiences, you can learn by listening to events like this, listening to webinars, listening to podcasts. Listen to me. If you are serious about cultivating positive habits, you must focus on morning routines. You must focus on time management. And you must focus on lifelong learning. Now, let's talk about breaking bad habits. How do you break bad habits? I have a short presentation. I will leave the link on the comments box after this particular webinar on habit triggers. All right. Or I wrote it on spending triggers. But that the idea behind it is that for you to understand cues that lead to your own desirable habits, there are certain pointers, there are certain things that introduce your own desirable habits. So one way to break bad habit is identify it. Is it that you fall into bad habit whenever you are idle, whenever you have less things to do? That is when you find yourself engrossing in those habits. Before you can break any habit, it is important to identify the triggers. Because if you fail to identify the triggers, you begin to invest in willpower. And just like I said the other time, that instead of using willpower, cultivate habits. Understand what the cues are. Avoid them and replace them. Number 2, substitute habits. Listen to me. There is no breaking out of bad habits if they are not substituted. Let me say that again. That there is no real breaking out of bad habits. For example, if you smoke, you cannot break out of it if you will not replace smoking with something else. So replace bad habit with positive alternative that fulfills the same psychological needs. Now, there was a particular time on my podcast, I'm talking about the underlying principles to every habit or everything you do. For example, if you love playing games like myself, one of the things you discover when you play games is that there is an underlying principle when you play games. Now, if you discover that you invest so much of your time playing games, one of the things you need to understand is that, for example, especially for guys that play games, it's the need for competition. Is the need to be better at doing something. Now, that is the psychological needs. The way to fulfill the psychological needs is through playing games, especially when you are playing with a colleague. So when you are beating the colleague and the colleague is especially when you are playing FIFA, or FIFA maybe 23 or 22 or 24, right? And your colleague is now shouting, oh, that is the psychological need that you need. So you can replace that habit with something else. You can replace that habit with something that is more productive, than that. Another thing that can also help in breaking bad habits is accountability and support. You see, I think some years ago, I spoke. If you want to survive in breaking habits, you need accountability partners. I often say that if you want to go fast in life, you walk alone. If you want to go far in life, you work with the right set of people. You need accountability partners. So enlist friends, families, or coaches, or a coach to help you stay on track and accountable for your habit changes. So if there is a particular habit that you want to inculcate, maybe for example, you want to start making videos, or you want to reduce your time spent on social media, make sure you tell somebody about it so that you will be accountable. Listen to me. These steps that I'm giving you will definitely help you psychologically. I'm telling you the sincere truth. Will help you psychologically. And lastly, celebrate small wins. Recognize and reward your progress, no matter how small. So if you discover that you find it difficult to break out of a particular habit for some days, and one of these days, as a result of you being deliberate on breaking off of that habit, you discover that you're able to make a progress, make sure you celebrate it. Oh, make sure you celebrate it. There was a young lady I was speaking with, and she said she does not like reading. Of course, I encouraged her. I said, you are not living when you don't read, right? The best way to live is to read, right? I encouraged her, and she came to me one day and she said, oh, I was able to read 2 books one particular weekend. I said, really? You were able to read 2 books one particular weekend? Oh, we need to celebrate it. Now, one thing I want you to do is post it on social media, post it on Facebook, right? Tell us what you learned from each of those books. So make sure you celebrate your progress. This will definitely help you in breaking out of bad habits. All right. Now let's talk about habit tracking techniques. Habit tracking techniques. Listen to me. Listen. Let's say this point blank. If you do not give yourself to tracking your habits, it will be difficult to measure your progress. So the techniques I'm going to share with you today will definitely help you. Listen to this. Calendar. Simple as that is. Mark off completed tasks on a physical or digital calendar to visualize your progress. There is something interesting about what you see. There is something interesting and powerful about imagery. So mark out completed habits. So you can get digital calendar and make sure you mark it out, so that you will be able to tell yourself, oh, I was able to complete so thing for 15 days trek. Right? Number 2, checklist. Use simple checklists to track your habits. Use simple checklists to track your habits, to track your daily or weekly habits, and maintain consistency. And let me quote Denzel Washington again. He said, without commitment, you cannot begin. But more importantly, without consistency, you cannot finish. Number 4, habits tracker. Utilize habits tracker app. There are if I just put it on Google Play Store or on Apple Store, search for habits tracker. You will see lots of lot of trackers there, lot of applications there that can help you track your habit. You can as well use spreadsheets, all right, to measure your progress and identify patterns. And lastly, reward. Incentivize your habit formation by rewarding yourself for completing your desired behavior. Listen to me. Ensure you reward yourself, because you need to trick your brain. You need to celebrate your brain. My village people used to say that when you praise someone, is so that that person will be able to do it again. So when you celebrate yourself, it will encourage you to do it again. So maybe after reading a chapter of a book, you can decide to go and play game. Celebrate yourself. It's very, very important for you, your habit formula, for you to put in reward in it. Now, let's talk about the influence of habit on success. I am saying to you that successful people have habits. There are habits, or your habits accumulate to the success you have currently. Oh, let me put it this way, that show me your habits and I will tell you the kind of success you have. Or let me say it this way, that show me your habit, I can tell you whether you are successful or not. Or let me put it in a better way, that show me your habit, I will tell you whether you will be successful or not. So habits contribute immensely to success. And let's look at it. Number one, we have the compounding effect. Habits, whether good or bad, have compounding effects. They impact our lives, leading to either success or stagnation. Listen to me. If you feel stagnated, you don't need to look for something big. Look for the habit you give yourself to. Let me say that again. If you find yourself not making progress, and when I mean progress now, I mean small progress. The major reason is because of you are not giving yourself to a particular habit, or you are indulging in another habit. So habits have compounding effect, and the power of its compounding effect is through repetition. Repetition. Again, let me quote Denzel Washington again, that without commitment, you cannot start. But more importantly, without consistency, you cannot finish. The compounding effect of good habit is seen via consistency. Number two, free mental resources. Listen to this. When you automate daily routines through habits, you free up mental energies for more complex problem solving and creative thinking. If, for example, if exercise is already an habit, you are no longer going to force yourself to exercise. If you follow the cue, the routine, and the reward loop cycle, you will discover that you are not exerting mental resources on those things, because those things are now your habits. So habits have real influence on success, freeing up mental resources for something more creative. And we have momentum and motivation. Successful habit formation can create a positive feedback loop. When you are able to do something for an extended period of time, you begin to have positive vibes about it, boosting your confidence and driving further progress. All right. Now, let me talk about how do you build effective habits. If you already agree with me as at now that habits are important in your success journey. If you already agree with me right now that habits are important, very important in your success journey, then what are those habits that are needed? What are those methods, or how do you build effective habits for success? Number one, set clear goals. Specifically, what habits do you want to build? Don't say, I want to become better, or in all ramification. No, that is not clear. That is not clear. So set clear goals. Make your habits specific. Make your habit measurable. Make your habit achievable. Make your habit relevant. Make your habit relatable. Make your habit time bound. Number two, start small. My village people, again, used to say that you start. What is ole in English like this? It is from the smallest place. Okay, let me say it this way. You climb a staircase from the smallest place. Right? You climb the staircase. They say it in this way that it be pelebelati moleje. If you don't understand, just take it like that. You start small. Begin with tiny, manageable habits. You can start with reading a page a day. Very simple. You can decide that you are not going to spend more than an hour on Facebook, and it's going to be for a particular time. That you are not going to get into Facebook, come out, get into Facebook, come out. Is just going to be stretched for an hour or 30 minutes. So you have Facebook viewing time or social media exploring time. Start small. Start from an habit that is easy to incorporate into your daily routine. You can decide that, okay, I want to start waking up at this particular time. So you set your alarm. Start small. Don't say that I want to read 12 books every month, and you've never read any book any month before. Start small. Start by saying a chapter a day or a page a day. Right. So start very small. Start very small. This is very important. Number two, increase challenges. Okay, so I'm back. So increase difficulty. Gradually challenge yourself by adding complexity or duration to your habit over time. Do it gradually. Increase difficulty. So when you move from one page a day, you can decide one chapter a day. So you can decide one book a week. This is very, very important. So increase difficulty. Increase difficulty. And lastly, track and reflect. Don't forget, I'm talking about how you build effective habits. So it's important you learn how to track your habits and reflect how much progress have I made via these habits. How much progress. Regularly review your progress and make adjustments to ensure your habits remain effective. Why is this thing doing this now? Okay. Right. Now, let me talk about habit stacking for maximum impact. Habit stacking for maximum impact. All right. Great. So habit stacking for maximum impact. Number one, you need to identify connection. Listen, You see, when I talk about habit stacking, let me say again, I recommend that you read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Atomic Habits by James Clear. He spoke about habits stacking. All right. Now, let me explain what this means. Identify connection. Find ways to link your habits together. Find ways to link habits together. For example, you can decide to listen to a podcast. You can decide to listen to a podcast when you are doing your exercise. You can decide to listen to a podcast when you are cooking. What you are doing is identifying connection and stacking habits. Find ways to link your habits together. Create a cohesive system that reinforces your progress. You can cultivate or create something that you enjoy with your habits. So instead, okay, for example, you love playing video games, you can put your headset and start listening to podcasts. I'm just saying podcast. I think somebody needs to start listening to podcast here, right? Number two, you need to leverage routines. Attach new habits to existing routines, making them easier to remember and integrate. So for some of you now, you already wake up at a particular time every day. You can decide that, okay, one habit I want to do for the first 5 minutes immediately I wake up is I want to pray just for 5 minutes. Or you can say the first thing I want to do when I wake up is that I want to meditate. I want to journal. Leverage routines. Number three, optimize for efficiency. Streamline your habits to maximize the impact of your time and energy investments. So adjust, adapt. Oh goodness, what is this? Okay. Now let's talk about, we are tidying this up now. I want to quickly talk about overcoming obstacles and setbacks. There are obstacles, there are setbacks when you want to start cultivating a particular habit. The first one is for you to anticipate challenges, identify potential obstacles, and plan strategies to overcome them before they derail your progress. So you will definitely face obstacles. You will definitely face challenges. You may experience fatigue. You may forget. For example, maybe you planned to read a page a day, and as a result of that, you forget to do it, right? Make sure that you identify what are the obstacles, what are the challenges I'm going to face when I start building this particular habit, and how do I correct or how do I make progress after them? I mean, one way to do it is forget about the mistakes and move forward, right? You are trying to build a particular trek. It happens to many of us. You have built a particular trek for 50 days and you missed a particular day. I mean, don't worry, just continue again. It doesn't really matter. Start another trek again, or give yourself bonus and say you have trek freeze, that you freeze this particular day, right? Number two, resilience and flexibility. Maintain a growth mindset and be willing to adapt your habits as needed to stay on track. So there are some habits, maybe before you started this particular habit, you are not working. But now you are working somewhere, you need to adjust. You need to re-strategize. Good. Next, we have self-compassion. Listen to this. Listen. Don't overburden yourself. Treat yourself with kindness when you slip up, and use setbacks as opportunity to learn and improve. So be compassionate to yourself. Don't overburden yourself. Don't overdrive yourself. And again, let me say again, that have accountability partners. Enlist the support of friends, families, or a coach to help you stay motivated and accountable. And lastly, let me talk about sustaining habits for the long term. How do you sustain habits for the long term? Many of us, this is where we have problem. This is where we face the challenge. We know what to do to make significant progress, but we find it difficult to be consistent in doing it. We know specifically the changes we need to make. For many of us, those bad habits that you need to stop. But what do you need to do? How can you sustain habits for the long term? Number one, listen again, consistency is key. Somebody's already expecting that I'm going to say it again. Yes, the quote by Denzel Washington, that without commitment, you can't start. So one thing you should keep looking for is to commit yourself to doing it. Make the decision that I'm going to start doing it. Maybe, for example, you want to start learning French like myself, you can start doing it. Get an app and start doing it. Start it immediately. Start it right now. No, don't wait till tomorrow. Start the habit right now. So maintain your habits over time, even when motivation wanes. When motivation is gone, discipline has to come in. So discipline your habits over time, even when there is no longer motivation. This will help you cement them as a natural part of your lifestyle. So this will help you cement them as a natural part of your lifestyle. So you need discipline. Whether rain or sunshine, you keep at it. Again, commit to doing it. Set a particular time when you want to start it. And when it is that time, irrespective of whatever is coming up, make sure you give yourself to it. Number two, celebrate milestones. Recognize your progress. Listen, consistency is easy when you celebrate your milestone. It is easier to be consistent when you give yourself to celebrating milestones. So celebrate your milestones. Recognize your progress and accomplishment along the way to stay inspired and enthusiastic about your journey. So recognize your progress. You are making progress. Again, you are doing well. You are doing exceptionally well. So celebrate your milestones. And lastly, continuous improvements. Regularly review and refine your habits. Let me say that again. Regularly review and refine your habits. Regularly review and refine your habits, adapting them to changing needs and circumstances. I hope with these few points of mine, I have been able to convince and not confuse you that habits has powerful influence over your success. If you give yourself to those small changes, you will definitely of a necessity achieve results. So what are those changes you will give yourself to now? I want you to tell me in the comment box. Let me know. Give me 3 habits that you want to start inculcating into your life, that you want to adapt into your life. Is it reading? Is it listening to podcasts, or attending events? Make sure that your habits contributes to your vision. If you remember, when I started this series, we started with vision. All right. Once again, I want to appreciate you so much for joining me in this particular series. Next week, I believe next week is going to be the last episode. Should I call it the last episode now? Yes, next week is going to be the last episode on this series of good sources. And the coming week is going to be for August, for growth confluence. Growth confluence. Again, you don't want to miss this conference. I tell you the sincere truth. I tell you the sincere truth. You don't want to miss this conference for anything. For anything. The theme of the conference is understanding the cost of success. Understanding the cost of success. And we have various speakers from different parts of the world that are going to speak to us. Again, we have Shijuade Adeyeye, we have Peace Adeyemi, we have Omotola Olajide, we have Ejiro Sunday, we have Pastor Akinshola, we have Winner Adegbile, we have Abayomi Olawumi. So you don't want to miss this particular conference. And again, they will be speaking on personal leadership, business, entrepreneurship and career, finance, health, faith, technology and AI, and relationship. You don't want to miss it. Each day for each speaker, it's going to be 7 days. I tell you, don't miss it. Oh goodness, don't miss it for anything. All right, I tell you, immediately you finish that conference, you start making significant progress. You start making, because one of the call to action of that conference, of this conference, is that this conference will inspire you to start doing things. All right, to start doing things. It's not going to be a conference for knowledge base alone. It's not just going to be a mental switch. Yes, it's going to be for mental switch, but it's also going to be an action-oriented conference. So again, you don't want to miss out. Once again, I want to appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for joining me again. I guess we are getting better day by day. We are maximizing our time effectively. Thank you so much. Ensure you like, ensure you subscribe to Life Growth International, right? Ensure you like, ensure you subscribe, whether on YouTube, on Facebook. Click on the notification bell so that when we start posting videos, you'll be the first person to be notified. All right. Thank you once again, and see you another time.